back to our channel.
Hello.
We're really excited again. We have a new adventure tonight and someplace that we've never been to before. We are going to the Oliver House in Middleborough. It has a lot of activity. I've heard some amazing things about it. And the history is just so cool.
I've been
amazing.
Waiting for years to get in this house.
I know, me too. Like the history is so cool. So the house that we're going to was actually built in 1769. But before that was built, Judge Oliver came in and he built a mansion and he had this beautiful estate, had a carriage house. He started an ironworks business as well. But eventually he built a house in 1769 for his son, Peter, who was a physician, and he moved in with his wife. But what happened was they were still loyal to the King of England, and the people around Middleborough were not. So they had mobs of people going to their house, and they had people threatening them. So they said, you know, we just have to leave. So they went to Boston, then they eventually left, and they went back to England.
Mm-hmm. A lot of Tories did that before.
Right, and they were kind of forced to. It's really sad. They had this beautiful estate. They just left it. So the city took it over, put it up for auction, and the money that they made actually was used to stop the Revolutionary War. So it's pretty cool.
That's a lot of history there.
Yes, it is. And so there were a lot of different owners. Eventually another judge purchased it. His name was Thomas, and his children were born there. He raised his family there. His daughter, how did you say it again?
Bethania, I believe.
Or Bethania.
Bethania, that's it.
Bethania.
I think so.
Bethania. So she lived there for her whole life, and then when her dad passed away, he left it to her. So she lived there with her husband Earl Sprout. I think that's the cutest name.
Not quite Jack.
The Sprouts, right? So she had all of her children there. So she basically was born there, had her children there, and she passed away there. But the sad thing is 3 of her children passed away. The saddest one was the little girl who was 2, and I guess there was hot water on the stove and she got scalded, and back in those days, well, they didn't have hospitals like they do now, and she didn't survive, so it was really sad. But they claim that Bethania is still there. She's quite active. They claim that the children are still there. They get a lot of activity from them. There's a lot of claims at this house. Disembodied voices. Christy is always posting videos from the cameras, the things that happen.
They had a really good capture recently, didn't they?
Yes, they did. They had, what was it?
It was on camera. I remember that. She had the video. And wasn't it an image of a person?
Was that? Yeah. And then the kids' room. The blocks, they had the blocks set up, and the REM pods were going off, and no one was in the house.
Okay, yeah, we've gotten that at Lizzie's.
Yeah.
We've gotten that. Yeah.
So, and voices, they get the disembodied voices all the time. People will see a lot of apparitions there. Oh my God, I pray we see one tonight. I haven't seen one like that
yet.
Yeah. That would be so much fun. I hope they show themselves to us. I'm really excited. So we're going to do a little investigation there and talk to Christy, because Christy is absolutely amazing. She volunteers at the house, and it's the people that work there, they're all volunteers, and they do it out of the goodness of their hearts because they want to keep this house alive.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's special. When you see that, that's really, really special.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
So that's our plan, guys. We're really excited. So what do you say?
Let's do this.
And it was actually commissioned by Judge Peter Oliver to become a wedding gift for his son, Dr. Peter Oliver Jr. The architect for the house was Simon Doggett, and he designed a lot of the properties here in Middleborough and Lakeville, very well-known name in the area. There's another house similar to the build down the street. In fact, one in the 1800s, the front door was removed from this house and was sent down to the end of the street and placed on that house. And then in the 1940s, it was bought back to be reinstalled on its
Oh,
original
wow.
structure. So it kind of played ping pong for a little bit,
That's
but we got it back, and we got the original skeleton key back too,
Nice.
separately from that. So
Perfect.
the house has got a lot of resilience to it. It's got an intense amount of history that's happened here. You're dealing with, in this house, individuals that are highly educated people. They're multilingual. They know Latin, very strong Latin. So if you know any Latin and you want to speak to them, there's a good chance they're going to respond back, and they're very happy to do that because they don't get a lot of that here. German, French, you name it, they can talk it. And you'll see in the library in a minute as we walk through some of the different languages that they spoke. And they loved poetry. Any kind of poetry you can read to them, they read it. They loved science, and they loved the idea of spiritualism. They knew that there was something more than just themselves. There was a bigger world out there. There was more beyond. And part of that, I think, might be because they were actually experiencing activity in different layers themselves. So it just keeps building layer after layer after layer. And people are drawn to this house. And in the living state, people are drawn. Can you imagine when they actually lived here for a little while how much more of a draw that is? This is home. There's tragedy here, but this is also the safe haven. This is the place that they felt like they could be themselves. So naturally, they come back and they just go on in the state that they're in. But Peter and so Dr. Peter Oliver actually asked a young lady by the name of Sally Hutchinson to marry him in 1765. When the house was commissioned, the foundation went in 1767, and I'll show you in the basement where it's fingerprinted into the foundation to the south side. Completed in the latter part of 1769, and Peter and Sally Hutchinson were married in a lavish party up in Boston on February 3rd of 1770. Thereafter, they moved in and began their family immediately. Their firstborn child, her name was Margaret, named after Sally Hutchinson's mother. Now, Hutchinson sounds familiar a little bit, doesn't it? You know why? Because Sally is the daughter of Governor Thomas Hutchinson of the Massachusetts Bank, a staunch loyalist, the very one that was a sworn enemy to the Sons of Liberty. This is how this house becomes an American staple. In just a minute, I'm going to explain how it comes full circle. So it gives me goosebumps, and I'm not ready for it. I get enough just from the tense atmosphere sometimes. So if you guys will follow me, this is what we call the front parlor. And I don't think this room gets enough credit as far as the activity that happens in here. Pictures like the one right there beside the window actually flew off the wall. Just plump, knocked off the wall. Perfectly fine, went straight down, no crack to the glass at all. I think it might be a clue because it's got a month on it to part of the story here, and we're not quite connecting the dots. It could be maybe a birth date, it could be an anniversary date of some sort, but may be important, and I would like to find out exactly what that means. The window right there, we did an event called History of the Paranormal when it visited the state of Massachusetts just recently. Brian Kano, I told him, I said, Brian, what do you think? He said, this is an amazing house. My spidey senses are going. I feel like it's a happy house. I don't feel like any danger is here. And I said, but you haven't had anything in your face yet, so that's what you're waiting on, right? And he said, that would be nice, you know, something that would, you know, leave me wanting more. We were having a conversation that morning. He had packed everything up, and we were standing in this room. His manager was here. I was standing right here. And he was standing here, and he turned to look out this window. And when he turned to look out this window, this entire board bowed, popped, and that rod came straight down to hit him in the head. He backed away just enough to catch it, but it just missed his face, and he cradled it right here in his arms. So I said to him, I said, so Brian, what do you think? And your face enough? I said, welcome to the Oliver House. If you guys will follow me this way.
Wow, look at that.
I know, that's
I know, that's amazing, right?
I'll
That's
get
so
the key
cool.
out and I'll let you guys kind of look at the key. It's a piece of art in itself, the key that actually goes to this.
I'll bet.
So after Sally and Peter moved in and she had her first child, baby Margaret,
Oh, don't grab honey.
Margaret lived 5 months. So Peter wrote in his diary, Dr. Peter, that she was a loving mother and she was, she was going to stay by that baby's side no matter what, and until the baby took her final breath and she joined the angels in heaven. That's what he wrote. And it makes me cry a little bit sometimes to think about it, because this is her first child. Her first home, her first marriage, her first child, and part of me strongly believes that the reason why we see Sally Hutchinson here today, and you will and can see her here, nowhere else. She'll be mainly upstairs, is where she becomes actually manifested the strongest. To the top of the stairs, we've had photographs to where people have seen her here at the top of the railing, and her dress is blocked out with the spindles, and she just hangs right there, just out of sight, just enough. And sometimes you can be talking and you'll hear a female voice at the top of the stairs. And I wonder
right here.
if,
I just got it.
Oh my goodness, what does a door right
well,
there?
that's got it's got a
behind
be
me.
coming through.
Yeah.
But you will, that's something that does happen. So during the time when Peter and Sally lived here, and the judge and everything was going on with the Sons of Liberty up in Boston, and of course the Hutchinson family was a target through the whole thing, because Thomas Hutchinson's business was to do what this man, the king, actually wanted done and executed inside the New England area with the colonists. He was making the rules, he was enforcing taxes, he was telling Governor Hutchinson, as well as this gentleman here, his name is Andrew Oliver. He is Lieutenant Governor of Massachusetts Bay at the time. He is actually your stamp collector. He's the main one that kept the journals, and he is Peter Oliver Jr.'s, Dr. Peter Oliver Jr.'s uncle.
Oh, wow.
So during the early years, before the house was built, between 1763 and 1768, Sally's father, Andrew, went back and forth with a series of letters. They felt the slip, they felt the pressure that Sam Adams and some of the other rebels in Boston were actually putting on them. And they felt like the Loyalist rule was slipping more and more and more. And they felt like they had to come up with plans, clearly thought out methods in order to have the rebels bend back to the Loyalist ways. I've got a few copies of those. I was able to find them and download them to my phone. And when I read them, it actually makes me mad. So I can imagine how the people of that time probably felt, because they did talk about people in such a way that they didn't matter, that it was just their way or no way at all. So I can understand that side of the spectrum from the rebel side, and I can also understand the Tory side of it. Did you hear it?
Yeah, I did.
You heard it?
Yeah.
Welcome. Anyway, in 1773, there was the packet of letters were actually hidden inside this house. Thomas Hutchinson had hidden them in his daughter's chamber upstairs on one of his visits. 20 letters. He had collected them and he had tucked them into the closet. There's about a 2-inch lip on the inside, tucked them in there, thought that they would be safe and not discovered. But in 1773, it was really starting to boil. And so Hutchinson and Andrew and Judge Peter Oliver had a serious conversation about what are we going to do. Fear was real for them. So their solution was to invite Benjamin Franklin to the Middleborough area for a lavish party in his honor. Why Benjamin Franklin? Because he was the ambassador over in England before the royal court for this country. So if anybody could liaison between the royal court and they're bidding and persuade people to bend to the way of the Tory, this is the man that would be able to do it. If he had the power of persuasion to get so many women in a bathtub with him. I call him Benny Boo. But you bring him up, they don't like him here. No, but their plan seemed to be working.
Was he in this house?
He did come to this house. He didn't stay in this house, which is one of the things that I've learned over time from being here, because no matter how history is represented online or in books, the truth lies in journals, in their own diaries. Judge Peter Oliver actually wrote in his diary about Ben Franklin staying at Oliver Hall, which was the mansion that's set up on the hill. But he also wrote of a day when he actually visited the small house. He came here with Governor Thomas Hutchinson and Andrew to this house, walked through that front door there, walked across these very floors,
So cool.
into this space, and this is the business room. This is the men's parlor. And the reason we know that is because the architecture tells us that. It's also darker. If you notice how dark this room is,
Yeah.
that side of the house, that front corner, is the lightest place in the entire house. This side of the house, completely much darker. Even in early morning, it's darker.
Wow.
Excuse me, is actually in each of the sister closets. This is the wall safe. It's a very deep set of 3 shelves to where they could hide their personal stuff in there if they wanted to and shut it up. It's had a handle that's been added to it and stuff, but you know, kind of a cool piece of information. In that closet, there's a lot of books. In this closet, we have like 6 back there. It's part of what we do, as you guys know. Sounds and smells can trigger responses sometimes. I got one of my feline entertainment devices here, so don't let that frighten you. They like to set those things off from time to time.
I brought 2 of those.
Oh yeah, we use the feds here all the time. Things happened very quickly after Sam actually read those letters aloud at Faneuil Hall. Elijah was the first victim. The judge left his house instantly, but a lot of Tories in the area were really feeling the pressure and the strain. In September, the mob came here in September of 1774, and Peter wrote that the Middleborough puppies came tonight with Reverend Sylvanus Brown and 40 men and surrounded the house. They had 2 choices. They could take they're moving a lot. They could literally just take and leave with the clothes on their back, but have their safety. Him, Sally, the children, leave now. Or we're going to take this from you, so you can't be replaced.
Exactly.
This is a chair to do.
Oh,
I'm in a back way because I saw your eyes. I was like, no, I'm not going to let you think that's what
I
that is.
just been thinking.
I know, I saw after.
Yeah. So they fled to Boston as well and joined the judge up there and waited out until the ships came in order to take them over to England. But here's the kicker. When the sons flooded into the house, who was left behind? Servants.
Oh.
You've got 40 men, and this is what we've learned. And this is why I think some of the activity happens here. You've got men drinking and having a good time and celebrating, and you've got vulnerable women.
Oh, so sad.
I'll let you figure out the rest of what happened to those people. They carefully took down everything off the walls, inventoried it meticulously. They stripped the house down to the bone, every curtain, every table cover, every glass, every fork, written down, every piece of furniture taken out of this house. They went to Oliver Hall, and they began to take some of those items, not everything, some of them, and meticulously itemize those on an inventory list. And you can read the list. It's available to go on and read a lot of it online today. It's also in one of the books that we used to carry here, but we're out of right now. What they did with that is the Sons of Liberty needed money because they were ready to fight a war. And they knew to fight that with the British that they were going to have ammunition. Here's the kick in the teeth. The reason the Olivers were in Middleborough was because Judge Oliver moved here in 1744 to start a manufacturing business on the Nemasket River called Oliver Mill. He used the bog ore in the area to make household goods, sheets of nails for building, and ammunition.
Wow.
So they used the money out of the sale of Tory goods to purchase the very ammunition that Judge had sold someone else. And on July 29th of 1775, the first shot of the American Revolution was fired in Concord. It was using the ammunition made across the street by Judge Oliver at the British soldiers. It was the shot that was heard around the world.
Wow.
Take a minute for that, because I always get
Yeah,
chills
I
all
got
over.
chills all over.
It's just to think about how and that is why this house is such a huge staple in American history, and we're lucky to be able to have it standing, even though she needs a lot of love and care. We're getting there.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because of fine folks like you coming
Mm-hmm.
and exploring and just opening up to the possibilities that she's able to stand strong. But it gets better, because I'm not done. The Commonwealth had this house from 1775 until 1793. And during that time, the first elected colonial governor after the Revolution lived in this house for 7 years. His name was Governor James Baldwin, and he was here with his wife Elizabeth and their 2 children, James and Elizabeth. Because they never named them anything unique.
Mm-hmm.
It was always after a mother or a father.
Yeah.
Makes history hard to tell,
Mhm.
because there's so many layers of, I call it the house of repeaters. Because you got the judge, you got Peter, you got Peter's son, you got the son after that, and the descendants.
Wow.
So, in 1793, Commonwealth said, we're going to put the house on the market. You know, we're going to let somebody purchase this place. We're done. Put it out there. There's a judge in the area.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Judge Thomas Weston. Jumped on that opportunity because of the historical relevance of the house. This is a good sized house for him to raise his family, have a family. Purchased it in 1793 and stayed here until his death in 1834.
Wow.
He had many children within the walls of this house. One of them by the name of Bethania.
Bethany.
Yeah.
And upon his passing, he willed this house to Bethania Weston.
Wow.
It's earned.
Mm-hmm.
So along the way, they've given us these little tests to see how we would react to that. If we would hold true to our word, if we would, in essence, be loyal. Inside this case, inside the horseshoe right there, is a little light bulb that is handmade, hand twisted. The container it was found in is that little wooden round box and the lid sitting to the side. One afternoon, I was standing in this very spot, and that's why we put it here, in this very spot, and I grabbed a set of dowsing rods. And it was the middle of the day, and I just cleaned with a volunteer, and I was training her on the flow of the tour. And I said, let's just try to see if the Oliver House will give us something special.
Mm-hmm.
With those dowsing rods, they led me down the hall, into the Ben Franklin room,
Wow.
turned me quickly into that library closet with all the books, and turned me right in front of that wall space and went tink, tink, tink,
I'm receipt.
Wow.
for the wall safe. So we opened the door and look inside, and there's nothing on any of the shelves. And I thought, well, what if they just think we can see what they're trying to show us?
Mm-hmm.
So I relaxed, held them back up, and I was like, nothing's there. Can you be more specific where you'd like us to go? And it pointed us into this dining room. So we followed the rods, went over here to the other side of the door, right there at the edge of the fireplace. Tink, tink, tink. And I thought, okay. I started knocking on it, You okay?
Yeah.
Okay. I start knocking on it, and I was like listening for a hollow place and trying to push on it, thinking something's gonna pop open. Boom, millions of dollars is gonna fall out. No, not really. I stuck my head up in the chimney and came out with cobwebs all over my head. It was nasty. Nothing. I was getting frustrated, so I said, all right, we're gonna try this one more time before I give up. Held up the rods, took a deep breath, and they led me back into the library closet with the books. Tink, 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 right where that wall safe is.
Oh.
So we opened the door again. Nothing on the first shelf. On the second shelf in the very back against the wall was that little round wooden box that had not been there a few minutes prior.
Oh my goodness.
Teleportation.
Great.
That's what they did.
That's
So
amazing.
It happened, and there's a witness to
That's
it. I
great.
can't make this stuff
No,
up.
we believe you.
So what is this exactly? What's the relevance of this? This is a part of the history of the house, tremendously.
Oh, yeah.
I took pictures of it and I hid it within the house so that nobody could come and just walk off with
Right.
it. I didn't know exactly what we had. So I worked beside the Boston Archives up in Boston. And I took the pictures on my cell phone and I took them in there and I talked to the people there. And they was like, well, it's a light bulb. And I said, well, I think I know that much, but what kind of light bulb? They said, well, it looks like it's got cotton inside of it. I would venture to say it's probably incandescent, maybe. But go to Old Sturbridge Village. They might be able to tell you. And I'm like, I'm not driving to Old Sturbridge. That's too far.
Yeah.
And they said, well, then Google it. Why didn't I think of that? I didn't know what I had, so I didn't even know where to begin.
Wow.
But then I did incandescent light bulbs, early designs. This light bulb is from
Oh
1805.
my goodness.
It is the first attempt at an incandescent light
Oh,
bulb
wow.
designed by a man named Humphrey Davy. Why would it be here at the Oliver House? Glad you asked that. I'm going to answer that for you. Between the barn and the underbelly of the house, there was a tunnel. When you go under the barn, it's all grown up and stuff and nasty with thickets and thorns. But you can still see a little piece of the opening where people would walk under from the barn into the base of the house.
Wow.
And they've rocked it up all the way to a certain point. We're going to take a borescope or some kind of camera and put it through there and try to see if the tunnel still stands.
Wow.
Because if they built the tunnel under the ground and they would have used forms and things like that to support the weight, it's possible it still stands.
Oh,
And
yeah.
they're talking back there. But they had backfilled into the basement, and you can see where it came into the basement. And the forms for where they stepped into the basement were still there 5 years ago, and they've since toted them off and gotten rid of them. So this is important because Humphrey designed these to be used in lanterns. People could take these, they would ignite, they would light the way, but it was flawed. Because when they were holding their lanterns and they were underground, these would get very hot and they would blow up. And when they blew up, the sparks would go and hit people in the hair and get on their clothes and catch people on fire. So a lot of people died for this very light bulb.
Oh,
The reason I
right.
think we have one here is this is probably left over.
Oh, yeah.
They probably used it a lot to go back and forth in that short distance, and this is an extra one that they probably had in their inventory that they gave us that day. There may have been more, I don't know, maybe.
That's so interesting.
Some of the things also is to the back kitchen, out to the patio area out there. There's two pieces there, there's one over here, and there's one under the front door frame. Earl and Bethany had 6 children while they lived here in the house, and while they were married, and 3 of them survived to be adults. That's my phone. They like the happy stuff. In 1841, Abigail, their 2-year-old daughter, was unsteady on her feet, but she was into everything. Came through the door into the old kitchen here, and there had been a kettle of hot water that had been taken off the fire and placed up to cool. Abigail came into the room and either bumped the table or reached up because she still doesn't know any better. In any event, the kettle spilled over on top of her head, and it scalded 75% of her body. Now, It's 1841. You don't have an ambulance, you don't have an urgent care, you don't have a hospital necessarily to take her to. So what are you gonna do? You're gonna take her up the quickest way possible to her bedroom. Keep her as comfortable and have somebody rush to find a doctor. Abigail lived 3 days.
Oh, poor thing.
At this time, when Abigail had her incident, Bethania was also pregnant at the same time. I believe that no matter what time frame you live in, people still have the ability to blame.
Mm-hmm.
Can you imagine what Earl probably put Bethania through? She was suffering, but also she should have been watching her. How did you let this sort of thing happen?
Right.
He's a very alpha male. So everything has a reason as to why it happened. No accidents in life. Bethany and Earl bickered a little bit. She took a spill off the 5th step on the main stairway. She lost baby number 2,
Oh, Jesus.
a little girl in 1841, 2 children.
That's sad.
1844, and her son James, he's 5, gets sick, a little bit sicker. He's in bed, they've got the doctor. He's basically on God's grace, you know, whether he's going to make it or not. In a week's time, James passed away.
Oh my goodness.
He had what we know today as pneumonia.
Mm-hmm.
So even no matter how advanced we get in medical practices, if we allow our bodies to get so run down, there are just some things that you just really are at chance with
Mm-hmm.
that the best medicines can't fix. But she didn't stop. She didn't lay down and she didn't give up.
Mm-hmm.
She turned her tragedy into a drive. And her goal was to go out and teach herself everything she could about healing people
Mm-hmm.
and going out and helping wounded people. That's what she did. She was a good Christian woman, and she set her sights so that no other person had to endure what she went through. If she could help in some small way keep that from happening, that's what her drive was. She did that until she couldn't do that anymore. Bethany lived past Earl, several years past Earl. He died in 1863. Bethany lived until 1877. When you talk about Bethany, she was born in this house. She had all her children in this house. And she took her last breath upstairs in one of the bedrooms I'm going to show you. This is her only home.
Wow.
It's hard to think about,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's
I can't wait to move sometimes. But just to know only one place, only these walls, this ceiling, these rooms, that's something.
Mm-hmm.
So she's heavily ingrained here, and I hope tonight that you guys have an opportunity to be able to connect with her.
Yeah.
She has a lot to give, and you might have to get past Earl to get to her.
Mm-hmm.
Because some nights he just wants to nope, shut it down, you're not talking to her, but just delicately keep approaching, and you might have a good chance of doing it. Into another space, so don't do it. Leave it there. But we were able to catch a picture of James reflecting in the mirror, their son,
Wow.
trying to hide under the corner of the bed right there. He's peeking over the top of it.
Oh my.
Also, we were able to catch a picture, the only one that we think we're ever going to have, of Bethany
Wow.
with her bun, her hair pulled back, and she's kind of tall and thin.
Wow.
We do have a video of an apparition raising up at the base of the stairs with a bun, peeking around, looking at people. Then she manifests into solid form. Takes 2 steps, we hear him on the staircase, talks to some kids at the top of the step. We think it's her children. And she's saying, okay, people are in the house, we gotta be careful. That kind of thing. And I'll show you that later if you guys want to see it.
So she died in this room?
She died in this room.
Oh.
Yeah, it's sad.
Wow.
Yes, enough that light gets activated, especially when it gets a
Oh,
strong
wow.
charge. You can also set the plasma ball here to be sound activated, so that when you talk to it, the light can get brighter too. This can keep going and going and going through these different cycles.
That's amazing.
Science.
Yeah.
You don't have to be in this space to investigate the space.
No,
You can
that's
be anywhere else. And as long as nobody comes in the room, we know that somebody came in,
Yeah.
which is easy peasy. You should try this there. I bet this would be a hit.
All right, well, Deb, we're gonna take this with us and try.
Oh, no, you're not. This bottle would get broken. Out of the floor about yay high and like touch their knees, and a lot of people who are gifted or sensitive talk about the little child that's inside this space. The little boy who's inside the space or visits makes the comment often that this bed is just far too small. Of course, it's just a bed. It's not really made for a person. But he makes a comment he needs a bigger bed than this. So they could be James. I'm not quite sure.
His name is James?
James.
So James and Abigail.
James and Abigail Spray. All right. One thing about these old houses, every time you take a step, it sounds like you fart. You know, it's a fun space. Don't be alarmed about Tweety. Tweety is my activated bird. I keep sensor equipment in here so that when nobody's in the house, they can activate it and we can catch it on camera that it's going off for no reason. Works well. The dolls on the bed are kind of new, and I've noticed since I put them out that there's been more spikes with REM pod activity, especially if you put them over on the bed near the dolls. They were just given to us by two little girls. They wanted to send them to the Oliver house because their children there needed nice dolls. And so they sent them, and I said, okay, so well, I'm going to take them out of the box, and I probably shouldn't have ever done that, but I had to because they wanted them here. So I set them out for the girls when they come back. They can see them as well. The man from South Carolina, his name is Nathaniel Russell. He stayed here for about 9 months back in colonial times. He was a smuggler, and so he was bringing up slaves from South Carolina that had been sold to houses here in the north. You know, slavery is not just exclusive to the South. It happened here as well. A lot of people used them in their houses to help take care of their homes. He would bring them here, probably up the back trail, like we'll go out to in a second, and he would find the children and any other people that he had sold. Most of them weren't children. He would hide them here in the basement. In event that maybe somebody was in the house and felt nervous or knew somebody was coming, he could actually store them inside this little cubby hole over here and wall it up. A note where they had there. Watch your head, there's some sharp edges here.
Okay. Everybody knows it's my phone. Oh, there it is. It's going. Okay. Oh, wow. No kidding.
This is crazy.
Look at that.
Wow.
So if you go inside here, there are definitely spiders,
Oh,
and
nope.
you'll actually see scratch marks in the wall
Hey.
to
Oh my
count.
God.
Like here, there's these scratch marks inside the
Oh, my
mortar.
goodness.
There's also
Come
symbols
on.
that
Wow,
they would
look
mark
at
in
that.
letters as
There's
well.
symbols and everything.
All right, guys. So we're here. We're really tired. Sorry. We are ready to go in and investigate this amazing Oliver house. I mean, it just has piece upon piece upon piece of history. There's bones of Indians everywhere. There's servants buried in the basement. There were slave children. I mean, it has everything you can possibly think of. And look at this. Christy lit up all of the lanterns for us inside, so it'll have this creepy glow. And then she's going to shut them all off. So yeah, it's going to be a crazy night, guys. So get ready.
Yeah.
Get ready. Look at this amazing
Can't
house.
wait.
Yep, you ready?
What do you say, Deb?
Let's do this.
Okay.
Does anybody want to talk to us? Anybody here?
She's recording on the camera.
Where would you like us to go in the house? Can let us know. Alright, so the ball's going off. So something's setting that ball up, and I heard
Set the REM pod up.
somebody to the right say, "Look." I'm looking. It's so cool. Thank you. Who's in there? Can you go closer so that you can light up the lamp? That'd be amazing.
What's going on? Is it all about? Come on. Look at this.
Here's something said look.
Yeah, to my right, it was a man. He said,
Yeah,
look. He said, look.
Look at the wind pod back there.
We just heard something in this one.
Yeah, I know, I heard something.
Which room? The kids' room?
This one, yeah.
Something's over here.
Hey, kids.
Something's walking over here.
Something's walking.
Yes, over here. I just heard footsteps right behind me.
You heard footsteps right behind you? Very cool. Who's in that room?
Is anyone in the back stairs over here?
Hey kids. Is it Abigail? Hi Abigail. What was the little boy's name? Are you Jacob? Can you tell me your name?
We brought some toys.
Yeah, I'm Gabby. This is Sue and Gabby. We just came to play with you. Roll it up.
Oh.
Oh, the P2.
Yeah.
I didn't know you'd roll.
I brought mine to you.
Hey, this is the back staircase. Where it lit up before.
Mm-hmm.
Is anyone in here?
It's a servant staircase.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bethania? Oh, I heard something come from upstairs. Did you hear that?
It sounded like creaking, yeah.
Outside.
screen door.
Yeah, outside door.
Oh, that's the camera I'm hearing.
Oh, look. I was just lighting up a second.
Yeah, I saw it.
Can you do that again?
Are you right in here? This won't hurt you.
It's pretty lights, isn't it?
Awesome, thank you.
Okay. If you want to come along, you can.
Mm-hmm.
No, was this another kid? This was
I
another
believe this
child's
was
room,
another
right?
little girl's room, yeah.
This looks like what we have in the master bedroom.
This is
Yes,
where
it
little
does.
Abigail, this is where they brought her, this is where she passed
Yeah.
away.
Oh, poor
We
thing,
should
yes.
talk to her in here.
Yeah,
Oh, Abigail.
poor thing.
Hi Abigail, this was your room, huh honey? They brought you up the stairs. I'm so sorry about what happened to you, Abigail.
You got such pretty rooms. Oh, thank you,
Oh,
honey.
Sorry, honey.
You got pretty stuff. I love that teddy bear. It's so nice. Thank
Hi.
you. Hi.
Thank you,
See, isn't that
Abigail.
fun?
I like your bedroom. Very nice.
Really pretty.
Do you like those lights over there that you just touched? They're pretty, right?
What was that, your little baby doll? I hear a little voice,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't know if somebody's below us or above us and we're hearing them,
Mm.
or you're outside. I heard
They wouldn't be in the backyard though.
a man's voice. Well, we heard the screen door open.
Thank you.
So,
Good
Do it
job,
again. Good
Abigail.
job. See, isn't that fun? Pretty lights.
yeah, it's not me walking around making it look.
No. Abigail, what was your brother's name? Okay. Better to do short clip.
Wow.
I just want to put something around the room.
Mm-hmm.
Can you light that light up? too?
Wow.
If you walk over and touch that?
Oh, it's
Oh,
awesome.
wow.
Thank you
Thanks.
very much. That is great. Thank you.
You like lights?
Well, lights are fun. We got a whole bunch of them here.
Who's here? It's better.
Mm.
So loud.
pretty
call that
dress.
closet? Is that the bacon and eggs?
Is there anything hidden in this closet?
What are you saying?
I said yes.
Yeah.
Oh, you said yes.
The letters were hidden in that closet, right? Anything else?
Who found them?
You hear that? No, behind me. It sounds talking. It sounds like talking.
Well, they're talking in there, but
It
there's no one
sounded
in
from this
there.
side.
There's no one back there.
So I love this closet door. There's no hook. Then you want to get in, see if you still want them? I'll shut you in.
Dad's going in the
You're shutting
closet.
me in here?
Yeah.
Take the spirit.
Alright, I'll-
Take the
I'll get
recorder.
ready with the recorder.
Take the recorder in.
Shut me in. So you have my-
Okay, so Sue is going in.
Oh, yeah. Just don't lock it.
I won't. I'll leave it like that. Who's in the closet?
I heard a noise. Was that you stepping in the closet?
Look, said something. Said something, didn't it?
I'm thinking I got the voice recorder in my hand.
Can you say something to the children? Speak in the room. Can you knock on the wall?
Did you? What happened? What's happened? You all right?
I'm so sorry, Dad.
You all right?
Okay.
I just got super creeped all at once.
Okay.
In there?
Yeah.
You did?
Yeah.
You want to try it?
I'll try it. I'll try it.
Alright. I
All right.
When Sue was in the closet, we had the spirit box going outside the closet, but I think she got an EVP inside the closet. She said, is anyone in here with me? It sounds like they said, yeah.
Anyone in here with me? I heard a noise.
Play it one more time.
Anyone in here with me? I heard a noise.
So we had been asking for little Abigail, who died in the house, who was scalded by the hot water, and very in the distance you can hear Mama. I hope you guys can hear it. Mama! I'll play it one more time. Mama!
All right.
Alright guys, so we're gonna go check out the carriage house now. Ready?
Carriage house, guys.
It's dark. It's very, very dark.
Extremely.
Yeah.
Watch your step.
Yep.
I already lost the flashlight.
Oh wow, this is really here. Wow. Look how high the ceiling is. Crazy. I feel dizzy in here. I know you were dizzy in the house. I'm feeling dizzy in here.
Yeah, this is a very overwhelming
Is
feeling.
anyone in here with us?
Want the spirit box? Let's get this recording going.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Can you walk over to the table there? Oh, my back is ice cold, just on my back.
Oh my god.
I don't see
Ice
anything.
cold. Right in the center of my back, yep.
Yep, you can feel it.
Oh, wow. It sounded like somebody was knocking on them doors.
I heard
Right?
the knocking.
Can you knock again?
Is there somebody here that used to work here? I'm like so dizzy in here, I can't even.
Yeah.
Like,
totally feel like I'm gonna fall over.
Yeah, it's definitely overwhelming in here.
It's
I'll
a
put the
different.
skirt box in.
Alright guys, so we're.
My foot for some weird reason.
Can you make a sound in the barn if you'd like us to leave? Heard that.
Yeah,
I heard that.
Honey.
Yep, all right.
Okay,
We'll leave.
We'll leave.
see you later.
Let me just get my thing.
Okay,
Thank you.
thanks.
Thanks.
Yeah, so dizzy, so.
Oh, watch out the rock, be
head's
careful.
Careful.
I know, it's very overwhelming in there. Wicked overwhelming. Holy crap, it's like heavy to breathe in there, huh?
Yeah, that was just weird.
Not yet.
All right, you want to go in the woods?
Yeah, we were waiting for you guys to go.
So the carriage house had a lot of negative energy in there. We asked them to make a sound for us to leave, and we heard knocks.
Make a sound in the barn if you'd like us to leave. Heard that. Yep, I heard that.
Guys, so we're going back on this path in the woods. Chrissy had taken us on it earlier, and it actually, there's pukwudgies back there, which is kind of cool. But this is the path where the Olivers escaped through the woods, and it's also where they used to bring the slave children in. So we were just seeing a weird light anomaly down there. So we're gonna go check it out and see if we see some pukwudgies. Let's do this. Let's talk, get-
I think maybe we should all just go in a run.
That sounds like a plan. Okay, I'm still filming, so let's.
It was down this path.
Yep. And through that gate.
Yep. But it just kept waking up. No, it's just a white light.
Yeah, it was like a weird white light.
You see that in the Pecan State Road sometimes.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
Yep.
I think we saw some. I think we actually saw some that night when we did the free concert tour.
Yep, see? That's what it looks like, too.
Yeah.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, they're talking to him.
Oh.
Great night here.
We've been out there.
Is it on?
You're good to go.
Okay. So we're sitting here, they call this the liquor area or whatever. What is she called? The liquor closet or something? Because they have a ghost who's an alcoholic. So I'm going to drink with him. Can I have some of your liqueur? I have the Ovilus on right now. I'm going to turn the spirit box on real quick. It said sad and cake. Kind of.
Is that why you drink? Or did something sad happen to you?
What kind of liquor is this? I'll turn the spirit box on and see if he'll tell me what kind of liquor it is. And plug into that box and tell us what kind of liquor is that? It's come to spot. They even poured it for you. That was really nice. Sit here and look out the window and drink.
Why were you sad? What happened?
You say?
You said something.
Yeah.
Yeah, got to turn the voice on.
Did something happen in this house that made you sad?
Oh my God, in the cellar.
In the cellar.
Do you want us to go down to the cellar now?
Clear as day.
Slower.
I heard no.
No.
Sue does not want to go down to the
I know.
cellar.
But I did hear, did you guys hear something though?
I heard
I don't know
something.
who said no, but I heard something. What happened in the cellar?
Was that the kids?
You guys all right?
There's other people investigating different part of the house, guys. What happened in the cellar?
Oh,
Get out. I'm sorry, am I in your electric area? Do you want me to get out? I'm so sorry.
that was clear.
I'll get out now. We're gonna go to Joe Pilla's room. Is that okay?
Darling.
Yeah?
Oh my goodness.
So Earl was not a very nice man. He was an alcoholic. I was sitting in the little drinking cupboard they set up for him, and he clearly told me to get out. So obviously Earl didn't want me there. I told him I would leave, and he said right away. I'll get out now. We're gonna go to Joe Pilla's room. Is that okay? Yeah?
I'm sorry, wait.
Oh my goodness. Something
Who am
right
I
away.
speaking with?
Earl.
What are you
Head upstairs. So I said, who am I speaking with? And a woman said, that was Earl. Hope you can hear this one. It's not as clear. Who am I speaking with?
I'm sorry, wait.
Wow.
I haven't heard the nicest things about you, Earl.
What? Wow.
Head upstairs. So now he's getting even madder. I said, I haven't heard the nicest things about you, Earl. And he's like, what? I haven't heard the nicest things about you, Earl.
I'm sorry, wait.
Talk to your wife.
Beth ain't here. Are you here?
Here.
So we asked if Bethania was there, and she said, I'm here. Twice, actually.
I'm sorry, wait. Would you like to speak to us? Same voice.
Yeah.
Let the others speak.
Yep.
I heard that.
Yep, that was
clearly.
clear as day.
Earl doesn't like to let anyone else speak, and a man says, let the others speak. Wow, all of this in that one little cubby area. Hi, Larry. You sitting in your chair? Love that chair. Beautiful. Harry, I have a question. Chair. Yeah, he's sitting in your chair. It's awesome.
Jerry, did you get this here?
Mm-hmm.
It's lighting up.
I got it a couple of times.
Hello?
Hello?
Hi.
Do you like that up again, Harry? Like your chair.
Harry, I have a question. Chrissy wanted me to ask you. Do you remember the Lizzie Borden case?
Fall River?
She murdered her parents in 1892.
I was there.
Do you remember?
Is that what it said? Oh my goodness.
Oh, wow.
This is the old well, guys.
Whoa, look at
Wow.
that.
Take a picture, Harry.
Oh, it's crazy.
What did that just say? This?
Oh my God. Let's see what it says.
Oh.
The obelisk said, screw.
It said screw.
Percent. I'm gonna go in the spot and you can show me in the spot.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go first and get light for you? I'll
Mhm.
go in the
Thank you.
corner, okay?
Awesome.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
We got the two of them.
Sue's got the spirit box going. You got the light? You got the camera going?
Yep.
Don't put in here.
All right, guys. Sue's got the spirit box going. I'm going in this little area
Whatever else going on.
where they hid the kids. This is the area where they hid the children with the marks on the wall.
Hold on. I thought you went upstairs too.
Sue's got the spirit box going. I have the obelisk. Hi. You can see their little marks in the wall. There's some letters. Crazy. Let's see if they come through on the spirit box. Hey kids! Are you still in here? Let's see your marks on the walls. Crazy.
Where are they?
They're all over the
Oh my
place.
goodness.
They're like little lines, like where they were making
Oh wow.
like marks. Like, yep,
Oh my
over
goodness.
here. Like they would scratch the marks in the wall.
And over there, look at it down there.
Mm-hmm.
Poor things. Anything up? No. Look right here. Oh my goodness, like initials or something. Look.
Behind them. That looks like an H.
Mm-hmm.
Upside down L. And see the marks? See the lines?
Mm-hmm.
Going right there?
Oh my
Like
goodness.
scratches all these going across.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Anything on this side?
So we were in the enclave where they used to hide the little slave children. Had the spirit box going, and then I heard a little voice. At first I thought it said Mark, because we were looking at the marks, but it wasn't through the spirit box. It was a little voice. I'm not sure what it said. Let's see if they come through in the spirit box. Hey kids! Are you still in here? Let's see your marks on the wall. Almost sounds like they said, come on, or something like that. Let's see if they come through in the spirit box. Hey kids! Are you still in here? Let's see your marks on the wall. We figured out a good way to hold the flashlight.
I know, right? A lot easier.
Yeah, she got it like on the side, but
Going to peek in the attic real quick.
Alright.
The Oliver house.
It's gonna be really hot, and
Okay.
these stairs are ridiculously
I'll be very
tricky.
careful. Okay. Holy shit.
Yeah, you're gonna have to turn sideways with your footing to see.
Oh my goodness.
we all go up at the same time, or
Holy.
go up
I
one
think
at
just
a
a
time?
few at a time, and then
Okay.
they come down and
I'll up
Oh wow. Oh my goodness. Look at this. Oh my. Look at the
yeah,
old,
see, there's no floor.
old
A
newspaper.
lot of it.
Let's find a year on this old paper, but this attic is oh my goodness, look at that trunk.
Yeah.
That is beautiful.
So guys, that was the Oliver house.
Yeah.
That was insane.
Wasn't it? Oh my
Yeah.
God.
That house, I did not expect that many layers to it. And it's funny, Christy gave us a great tour. Her tour was
Yeah.
amazing.
Very knowledgeable about the
Yeah, it
property.
was so good. And pretty much everyone that lived there is still there. I mean, it's crazy, the owners, the children, and there was so much tragedy there. And even outside, Christy took us outside and talked about the pukwudgies and the water elementals and the activity they get out there. In fact,
Slaves.
yeah, the slaves, early
Indians.
used to, yes, the Indians. Oh my goodness, it's basically an Indian burial ground because the Indians lived there and they had a plague that came through and they all died, and then the townspeople just took their bones and buried them on the property. So there's actually a burial mound of bones. So you have the Native American, the pukwudgies. Earl used to sneak in the little slave children.
There were slave cabins, weren't there, right in the property?
I think they might have had cabins as well.
Oh.
It's little houses,
Yeah.
yeah. But it was just like Christy said, it was layer upon layer upon layer. And even when we were on the tour and we were upstairs, remember Carrie saw someone walk through the front yard. So there's people out on the property as well. It just was, I want to go back because I think we just barely touched the surface. I want to go back and focus on certain things for each episode. I think that would be amazing. You know, focus on Bethania for one, focus on Earl. And I do think Earl was the most communicative.
He was very talkative.
Yeah, and I isolated that for you guys because I hope you don't get bored with it, but I had wanted you to see the progression of how much angrier he got as time went on because I was in his area. He did not want me there. He did not want to talk to us. I don't think Earl was a very nice man. I think, you know, he probably pushed Bethania down the stairs when she was expecting. He was an alcoholic. We know that. He was not a very nice man.
I don't think Christy had too many nice things to say about the man. Yeah.
No. And then the other person, now Harry, I'm trying to remember, but Harry actually purchased that property because he found out he was related to the original builders of the property, and he found out it was for sale, and he purchased it. He was a very nice man. He went to Harvard. He used to have beautiful gardens out there. He was very communicative.
Yeah.
When we asked him about Lizzie, because Christy had suggested that. She said, ask about, you know, Lizzie Borden, because he was alive during that time.
And
he's
in
like,
the area, I believe she said.
yeah.
Right?
And he was like, I think I was there. So that was really cool. So I think they were the two that came through the most. I did isolate Mama. We did hear the child. I don't know if you guys will be able to hear it as well. But
that was in the basement,
I think
right?
it was, no, that was in Bethania's room. I think it was Abigail, because we had been asking for little Abigail. The
Okay,
little girl that
a
was
boy came
swallowed
through in
in.
the basement. Little boy. Okay.
Yep. So, all in all, I mean, I feel like it was just, oh my God, it was such an amazing experience.
I mean, the house dates back to the Revolutionary War, prior to the Revolutionary War.
I felt it as soon as I walked in. I mean, my head was tingling so bad. The only spot that I felt anything negative, though, was the carriage house.
That place
That
was
was-
not nice.
No, and
Yeah.
I think something did happen in there.
I
There
believe
was-
people were hung and tortured in the carriage house.
My God, you could feel it when you walked in. I mean, it was just, it was
Very
awful.
heavy, very
yeah.
heavy.
Yeah.
Just a bad vibe. You could just
Right.
feel it the second I entered it.
That's the only place I felt not good. The rest of the house, it feels good, you know, interacting with that spirit and just the feel of them. It's their home, you know. And it's amazing, but I think we're definitely going to plan some more visits
A
there.
return visit for sure. So,
sure.
hope you guys enjoyed the episode.
Yeah. And make sure to subscribe so you can not miss anything that we put out. And, you know, we love you guys. Be sure to share the love. Bye.
Bye.